horses here, they come to us from the Amish, so mainly the Ohio. Boy, home out there in the country, downtown office right here in the city.
Hi everyone, we are here in South Carolina, here in Charleston, and we are about to go on a carriage tour. And we still have 30 minutes. I'm gonna walk around and show you around the city. This is beautiful. So we are gonna go on like that. This is a carriage tour. I think it's gonna take us around the city. That is so cool. And look at the buildings. Look at the horse. That is so cool. Yay! Look at them.
Good morning. All right, so my name is Madison. I'll be your licensed tour guide for today. I know everybody wants to know about our big boy up front, right? Yeah. Yes, we've got Zeus today. Zeus. Zeus here is our baby. Just turned 5 this year. Huh? Yeah. He is a Belgian draft horse. Those are all the light brown Hero McCullough horses you might see inside of our barn. He is about average size for a herd. He measures close to 18 hands high. That's how you measure horses. One hand is about 4 inches. And he weighs 1,900 pounds, just under 2,000. Yeah, he is a big boy. All of our horses here, they come to us from the Amish, so mainly the Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana area. They're used to pull plows, do logging, that sort of thing. When they're done with them, they put them up for sale. We'll actually go to these farms. We'll see if they're right for the job downtown. And if they are, we'll buy them, train them up. Whenever they're ready, we'll go and put them out on these tours. Now these big draft horses are all bred to pull by the Amish. This here can pull up to 3 times his own weight at a dead drag. That is without wheels, friction on the ground, okay? Boy, home out there in the country, downtown office right here in the city. Now, has anybody taken a carriage tour in Charleston before? Some of you have, okay? So you ever stop by the city gate up here? They've divided the estates. I have 14 and 1. They're going to flip that switch. Let's see. Green ball pops out. They go to zone 5 today. Was not kidding. This really is a bingo machine, okay? So let's see what we've got for us. And a 5A. Thank you. Now, what does 5A actually mean? 5A means we're exploring the whole northwest course of the peninsula in this section over here, right? This is an area not many people end up going to because it's pretty far away, okay? You would not meander over here on your own. So I'm hoping this will be a whole new section for everybody. We're going to start off by seeing some of our oldest churches, religious structures. We're going to see one of the largest homes in Charleston, over 20,000 square feet of living space. And a little hidden gem, colonial lake, some of the water today as well. So truly a little bit of everything, okay? Oh, yeah. Heads up in the market. All right, let's go ahead and get started, okay? We were founded in 1670. That's a little over 350 years ago. And throughout that time, we've had a lot of great disasters. We've had 5 great fires, which have destroyed at least 100 buildings each. We've had 59 major epidemics, things like smallpox, malaria, yellow fever. We're on the marshes here, right? Mosquitoes spread lots of disease. We've also had different earthquakes, hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, different wars, uprisings, and more. And on top of that, over 40% of all the enslaved people brought to America actually came through Charleston's ports. All of that's about 3 or 4 degrees. That's because August 31st, 1886, we had an earthquake here. Experts estimate 7.3 on the Richter scale. Only goes to 8.9, not 10. That is pretty severe. Lasted over 60 seconds here in the city. Woo. Tremors, 13. Just like it sounds, all of our gunpowder was held in one building. All of our gunpowder was held in one building, right next to our church. Like, great idea. Who thought of that? Okay. Now, if you go inside, the walls were actually built 3 feet thick. The idea being, something was to ignite, it would contain the blast and send it up instead of out inside. Now, luckily, they never tested that. I have no idea of actual work, right? But today, no more gunpowder. That is a museum. It looks a lot on colonial era history, everything pre-Revolutionary War, the old world city of Charleston, things like that. Okay. Now, before we get too far into our tour, let's delve a little bit deeper into Charleston's founding. This time, we're going to 1640 in England. King at that time is King Charles I. People don't think he's doing a very good job. They don't like him very much, right? What do? They cut off his head. Yeah. His son is King Charles II. He is exiled from the country. Oliver Cromwell, Parliament take over for several years. Now, throughout this time, there's still some people who are loyal to the throne, particularly these 8 lords proprietors. These 8 men, they are businessmen. They're of the upper class. They're in London. They work to get King. War comes around a couple of decades later, and the Confederacy is asking for donations, particularly of their iron. They're going to melt the iron down, making the ammunition, horseshoes for the war effort. Idea was, after they won, they go ahead and replace all the iron for you for free. We all know what happens. They don't win the Civil War. A lot of the iron is lost permanently in the city because of that. But the reason we still have these beautiful raw iron gates in the 1820s is because John Bachman did not believe in the Confederate cause. He does not donate their church gates. He was reverend here for 56 years, and he's buried underneath the altar inside here as well. He had a huge influence on that congregation. The first break-off group from that meeting house, they formed this congregation right here. Now, you know the year on that, 1772, it's right before the Revolutionary War. During the war, they had to pause construction of the building. 1783, the war is over, the British finally leave, they're able to resume construction here. They're the mother church of Lutheranism in South Carolina. The church building dates back to the early 1820s, designed by a man named Cyrus Werner. So he and his brother are both members of the congregation. He designed the church building, while his brother designs the beautiful wrought iron gates around the front of the church. Now, for those of you that don't know, wrought iron, of course, is made entirely by hand, right? We had several blacksmith artisans that would heat up individual pieces and use hammers, and they bang, they warp, and they twist, and it is beautiful thing. So each arrow tip here, these diamonds and scrolls, all of this is made by hand. 1822, Frederick Rowe and 8 of his assistants actually made these gates based off of Cyrus's brother's design. Now, the Reverend here in the early 1800s, name is Reverend John Bachman. If you don't know him, you might know his close personal friend, James Audubon, the Audubon Society, right? These 2 men, they are men of science. They're ornithologists. That means they study birds. They actually collaborated on the Birds of Prey book together. Several species are named after Bachman as well. Ooh, ooh. But in my opinion, his most notable work he does here at the church is his essay entitled The Unity of the Human Race. I can go there and try and scrape. I've heard it's pretty good, right? It's like a couple of breakfast spots Look at the White House on the left. Has a bright pink door, 151 Queen Street. This house sold last summer $4.7 million.
Wow.
$5 million last year. Wow. This house. We are nowhere near Rainbow Road, the Battery. There's no waterfront view here. $5 million. Yeah, real estate market's really taken off in recent years, especially here in Charleston. A couple years ago, might have been around $3 million for Queen Street. Now it's at $5. Right? Yeah. behind the large magnolia tree. This is the old Marine Hospital designed 1836 by Robert Mills. Just like it sounds, again, if you're a naval officer, you're sick or injured, come here to receive treatment. Now in the latter portion of the 1800s, a man in town named Reverend Daniel Jenkins. He notices we have a huge orphan problem here. These families have no home, or these kids have no families, no homes to go to. So with donations, people here in the city, they end up buying the old Marine Hospital here in 1895, converted into the Jenkins Orphanage. Ooh. When he starts out, 4 or 5 kids here, right? At the height of the orphanage, almost 2. As we're going by these houses, you'll see the light blue shade of paint around the front door. Does anybody know what that blue is called in Charleston? Carolina blue. That's a good guess. Get that one on. Haint blue. Haint's blue. So it's like paint with an H. H-A-I-N-T. Haints actually stem from the Gullah Geechee culture that established here from the West African enslaved brought to Charleston. These people are coming from different countries, different tribes, are not speaking the same language. Upon coming here and trying to communicate, they end up forming the Gullah language, mixture of West African dialects and English. They have a whole culture stems from this. In their culture, they believe in something called haints. Haints are evil spirits. You do not want them inside your house, evil spirits. However, they also believe they will not cross. They will not cross the sea or the sky. Some might call it light blue sky. Darker history of the building. Believe it or not, we were the last colony out of all 13 to have a proper jail. And we are not the youngest, right? Before that, we kept all of our criminals in people's houses. Yes, the government would actually pay you an actual stipend each week to hold a criminal in the upper levels of your house. As you imagine, you are not a trained security guard. People are escaping. They're wreaking havoc. It's not a good idea. We ended up building this old city jail here in 1802 and used until 1939, so 137 years. Throughout that entire time, no running water, no electricity. Cells here designed about 4 to 5 people at a time. At the height of the jail, 8 to 10 in each cell. Slaves standing up. Yep. Men, women, and children are all kept here. Ooh. If your husband was on trial, everybody had to go. That's how it happened back then. Yeah. Your lifespan on average here was 2 months. And that was not from your sentence being executed. That's something horrible. The illness, the disease. Charleston Village. Charleston Village was named after Miss Afra Charleston Cumming, one of the first immigrants to Charleston. This was her husband John Cumming's personal land, and because of that, it was not developed like this until the early to mid 1800s, right before the Civil War. One of the heights of Charleston's wealth was right before the Civil War, right? We'll talk about more about why that matters a little bit later down here. So these are, like I said, pre-Civil War from Motion, but not the oldest. This is outside of that original walled city I mentioned earlier. Yeah, so these weren't built until after that came down. Ooh. Great question though. Any other questions? Let's go over $2 million for a leaning house. Why is it leaning? Not the earthquake, because this is a landfill section, landfill. Believe it or not, over half of our peninsula is landfill. It used to be marshes, streams, creeks, the waterfront, things like that. Yep. Watch the bump right here. In the 1820s, we started building the battery wall, the seawall. It goes around the whole southern tip of our peninsula. Once that wall is built, we're able to slowly drain the water out, landfill, and build on top. Now the thing is, we are a sandy peninsula settling. That's how we get leaning houses. Check out this yellow house on the left corner. It's twisting in the middle because of how much it's leaning in that front corner. Twisted house. Wow. People still live inside these homes. They still sell for millions of dollars even today. I get a little discount, but still, it's a couple $1 million, so it is still a lot of money for that.
They're not required to fix them?
Though I will say the lean that we see today has happened over 200 years. So the rate at which is leaning is pretty minimal. Yes, it's not unsafe. They will eventually, if it's not fixed, they will condemn the buildings, but that's like 100 years off. I mean, it depends. Marble is a symbol of wealth for Charleston. We have no natural stone within over 200 miles of the city. In our early days, if you could afford to have any type of stone or marble imported to the city, have it cut to that size, alternate that pattern, that's a lot of extra time, which also meant a lot of extra money, right? When they're greeting business guests or neighbors at the front door, they would have seen that and known how much money they spent on it. I like the stone on these stairs right here. It's really nice.
This looks newer.
Yeah, this is a Fisher house right here. So if you have somebody staying at the VA hospital and you're immediate family, you can stay here. A hospital now is mostly a public. as well, but it's actually leaning so badly. Look at the front door. The front door does not even fit in the door frame. They had to cut it diagonally to fit inside there.
Wow.
Diagonal doors. What's the length you're going to live inside these buildings? Diagonal doors, yeah. Right next door, this yellow house has that paint blue on the ceiling of the porch. That's how it's most commonly seen. The neighbor has it right here. Both white houses up here also have paint blue, so a very common, popular color here. I've also heard this shade of blue prevents bugs from nesting, things like spiders and birds as well. Will not nest. It things in the sky, a lot of benefit on color as well. So you notice these houses are quite large, especially for Charleston, and they have enough room for a beautiful garden, swimming pool, backyard area, right? If you've been down Church or Trout Street, those homes are small and they're within feet of each other. These have a lot more room and some parking space. That's also a big deal, right? Why is it spread out? Again, these homes are built in the height of Charleston's wealth, Charleston Village here, and people could afford at that point to buy multiple plots of land, using one as the house, the rest was a garden area, right? That's why we have so much land. There's more space in this section. Now these are mostly privately owned single family, and these range out 4 to 6 million. It's pretty typical in this section. We'll talk about that. You might not also realize these are mostly vacation homes. These are part-time, second and third homes for many of these families, okay? They make their money elsewhere. They vacation there a couple weeks out of the year. To back up my claim, our last census, the population for the entire peninsula, not just the historic area. I'm talking from the bridge to Mount Pleasant all the way down here at the end of the peninsula. 150,000. That's it. Painting, a mural, an advertisement, even a tree, if it's 50 years or older, it's protected under the bar. We're also back up here at the earthquake vault. It's a story here. So this was actually finished 2 months before the earthquake and was one of the first buildings in the city built with rebar. Rebar makes it stronger. They don't even need the earthquake bolts right here. Francis made all of his money as a cotton broker. Whoa. Specializing in that sea island cotton we are growing on the barrier islands. If you look above this front window, cotton flowers up top, representing its history as that cotton broker. Okay. After the Civil War, cotton trade dies down and gets into phosphate mining. The home, the area was needed in. Beautiful Greek Revival style building, tall, dark columns in the front, Greek keys, a plasterwork, copper chandelier hanging there in the middle. So this property sold in 2021 for $3.5 million, but it was essentially a dirt lot. All that is gone. It's all gone. The house is in such bad shape you could not even walk inside the house. They just moved in at the end of last year. They bought it in 2021. They spent 2 entire years, and I'm not kidding, multiple millions of dollars on that restoration. Indeed, for airflow. We actually adapted these from the Barbadian single house in Barbados. Called a single house because single room wide. One room at the front, main entrance stairwell in the middle, single room behind that. That's how that equals, right? This summer, upper 80s, very hot, very humid. They had no AC. The best way to cool your house down would be to open the windows up, feel this breeze, the breeze will blow through it, cool it down that way. Because your home is only one room wide, it's very easy for the wind to flow through it, cooling it down much more efficiently. Now the porch, they call our porches piazzas in Charleston because we are very fancy. I am aware the word piazza does not mean porch in Italian, but that's what we picked, okay? Piazzas only face south or west, pick up this breezy feel from the ocean. We actually wore 20 to 30 pounds of wool clothing, even in summer. Yikes. Why? Because we are an English colony. That's what they wore in England. Wore the same things over here. If you got hot at midday at night, you can't sleep, you could undress like your PJs, some sort of lightweight, long john style layering under piece, and sit or sleep out there. Let the breeze blow over you. Woo, woo, cool you off that way. Now back then, it was indecent to be seen in those layering pieces. Those outer doors are called privacy doors. They would shut that door. That would let passers-by know. There are different, I was never involved in any of that growing up, so I'm not familiar with all of the rules, but I do know that with their affiliation with the college, there's rules they follow for those historical. Does that make sense? It's different than just a normal sorority or frat house, right? But yeah, the college had their graduation over a month ago, so there's not many students left here in the city, but there are still some that are staying here over the summer. you want to visit the college campus, if you go down Philippe Street, 2 blocks down next to the church, that you'll hit Randolph Hall. Located around Charleston Harbor. They've got these big iron warships, cannons mounted on top, and they're firing at us. Cannonball landed once in the city every 15 minutes for 587 days. Longest siege of a single city until World War II. That's happening south of us in the harbor over here. Most people had to evacuate, too dangerous to live down there. Chris Griswold thinks we're so far north they're out of range. Make upholding services until October of 1864. Shell falls the roof, lands near the altar. Now luckily it was nighttime, nobody got hurt. When they came the next day and saw that, they knew they were in range of firing. They were the last church to close during the Civil War, one of the first to reopen after. Which means you can walk through them. They were metamorphosed to the family to enjoy and things like that along the river as well. Next one is Milton Place Plantation. They're known for their formal gardens. That means they're squared off different alleyways through the gardens. I like the Milton Place gardens better myself, but they're both really great. So both of them are great. They're right next to each other. And then Boone Hall Plantation in Mount Pleasant. It's also really nice as well. One of our larger plantation holds today. That's one of the largest ones. All 3 of those have lots of weddings there. And that would be after dinner, right? That's the ones that you see. The next is our butchery. Look at the top. Ram and sheep skulls up there. Denoting history as we are. So like I said, this is our butchery. All the smaller, shorter brick stalls down throughout this way. These are all built as early as 1807. Used for household goods and produce. Things like candles, soaps, fruits, vegetables, handmade leather, paper goods, that kind of thing. All sold down throughout this way. Last big stall right out of the market by the cruise ship. Look how big that cruise ship is compared to most of our buildings. Yeah. I know, pretty big. That was our seafood market. Think about it, fishermen, they could dock, unload, start selling right down there. This land, now we'll move them indoors. We go about 3 streets south, hit Chalmers Street. Chalmers Street has the old Slave Mart Museum. It used to be called Ryan Slave Mart, an auction house for the enslaved. Now it's a museum. It's small, but the tour guides there are fantastic. A lot of good information there. So I'd recommend that museum to you guys as well if you want to learn more about